Hi guys. As you can recall, the previous lesson we did arithmetic sequences and we found two formulae that we can use in problems. So what we're going to do in this lesson, we're going to do the problem solving. So after this lesson, you'll be able to solve all different types of problems using those two formulae that we did last week. Good, so let's just do a little bit of revision. If you can recall, this formula here is the one that I prefer. There was another one. Let's just get it there. It was Tn is equal to dn plus c, where we can fill in the d for the common difference immediately, and c was the constant number that was short, say, on the first term to complete it. But these two formulae in the end give exactly the same answer. So if you can learn this one here, and get it known. And remember, you do get a formula sheet at the end of the year, but you must be able to figure out which one belongs when, which one you use where. So this one, just remember what I said, you can very easily get confused with the T and the N, specifically with the T and the N. If there's a little N there, it means it's the nth term. So that little N is not what we work with. It just tells us which term we are working with. And then the A, first letter of the alphabet, is also the first number of my sequence. So if I see A, normally when we do sequences, I know immediately that is the first figure of my sequence. And then the N is for the nth position. So it's the third term or the fourth term. So the minute you can say fourth or third or second, then you know I'm busy with the number of terms. The term itself is the big value, but the how manyth term it is the little n. And then D is always the constant difference. Now remember what I said, you may never swap this formula around. So this formula here, another good way to remember it is to say right-hand side minus left-hand side. You always take the right-hand side term minus the left-hand side term, and that will give you the common difference. Good. And to check if we are working with an arithmetic sequence, remember we already did the quadratic sequence as well. To make sure we are working with the arithmetic sequence, we need to check if there is a common difference. So we check twice. We say term 2 minus term 1, and then we also say term 3 minus term 2. So you take any two, right-hand side minus left-hand side, and if the answer is the same, then I know I've got to do with an arithmetic sequence, and then I know I can use this formula that you see on top of the page. Good. Now, as I always say, it's always best to do an example, and then you can see exactly, because in this lesson, we're specifically going to do examples, problems that come from past papers, so things that you're definitely going to need later on for the end of the year exam. Good. So let's see. First problem. The general term, they give us that. First question says determine the first term. Now remember, first, if I can say it tells me which term I'm working with. So if I need to determine the first term, I need to determine T1. So if I take my formula and I do 2 plus 3, instead of n, remember what we do when we substitute, we make an empty bracket and we fill the value in there, and I get the answer 3 plus 2 is 5. So I know my first term is 5. And then they ask the constant difference. Now, the only way we can find, no, not the only way, but the best way to find the constant difference is always to say right-hand side minus left-hand side. Now, because they in the beginning said it is an arithmetic sequence, I don't have to check. So I don't have to do more than 2 terms. If I've done the first 2 terms and I say right-hand side minus left-hand side, I will get my common difference. So I need term 2 as well. So I'm just going to do exactly the same. I'm going to do term 2. So it's 2 plus 3 bracket, which I put a 2 in. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now, the minute I want D, I say right-hand side minus left-hand side. So that means term 2 minus term 1, which is 8 minus 5. So the common difference is 3. Good. It's as easy as that. So that is just a basic little problem. There is, though, another method as well, because if you look at the formula carefully that they gave us, let's just write it here. T is equal to 2 plus 3n. If I just rearrange it, 3n plus 2, do you recognize Tn is dn plus c? You recognize that formula? It's the one we did in the very beginning. And the D stand for the common difference. So if you saw that in the very beginning, and you saw it's actually the pattern that my formula forms, I can rewrite it as dn plus c. You can just read off the d. So there's your d, there's your d. It's the same as this d is equal to 3. So whichever way you use to find it, you will find your d. Good. Now, as normally, I'm going to take it off because you're going to redo it on your own without looking at any answer first. Just remember, if ever you do any maths, the next page is the proper answer. Please don't look there. Don't even give a glimpse, because the minute you do, the method is set in your mind. You haven't thought of it yourself. So when you get to an exam, you may get stuck. Good. But if you do go to the next page, you'll see there's the proper answer written out with the 2 different methods. So you can go and check it afterwards. Good. Problem 2. Now this one, they gave us the sequence, and they told us it's an arithmetic sequence. And then they asked firstly which term is equal to 13. Now let's just be careful. Which term equals 13? So do you agree with me? The term itself, the capital T, is the 13. So which term are they talking about? The little n. Is it the 4th or the 10th? Which term? So they are asking you to find the 10. Let's just get my pen. The n. They are asking you to find the n, 10th or 11th or whatever term. That is the question. And then in the next question, they say, determine the 13th term. So now they want you to find the term itself. So they want you to find T13. Do you agree with me? Now I'm going to take this off again. We'll do the whole problem now. But when you get this problem, this is normally what pupils confuse. They swap these 2 questions around, and then you'll get 0 for both of them. So make very sure that you understand which term is always the n. And if they say determine the 13th term, it's the capital T, and that will be T13. Good, so let's just take this off, and then we're going to do it properly, but you're going to not see it when you look at the problem again, so that you can think for yourself which one is now the n and which one is the t. So let's just see. Firstly, they ask which term is equal to 13. Now, immediately, remember what I always say, if you know a formula for something, write it down immediately. So I'm going to write down my Tn formula, a plus n minus 1 d. This is the one that I prefer. Remember, there is the other one, Tn is equal to dn plus c, whichever one you pick, but this one really works on all problems. Now, in order to do this, in fact, in order to do any sequence problem, we need to find the first term and the common difference. If we don't have those 2 things, sometimes they give me an answer and they ask one of these 2. But those 2 are the things that is involved in my problem. Now, if I look at this one, I can see A. A is minus 5 because it's my first term. But I need the common difference. And how does one get D? You always say right-hand side minus left-hand side. So I'm just going to take minus 4,25 minus 5. Be very careful for that substitution. If you don't put the minus 5 in a bracket, you will not see it must become a plus. So in the end, I have minus 4,25 plus 5, which is 0,75, which is 3/4. Now, you can decide for yourself. Are you going to work with decimals? I don't like working with decimals, but you can. Or are you going to work with a fraction? And also, when you start doing the problem, many times you will see which one is easier to use. So now I've got my D. I've got my A, which is minus 5. Now, actually, if you always can write down those 2 things before you start your problem, you will not have a problem, because then whatever they ask you, you can think of carefully, but you've got your 2 basic things to work with. So now I'm going to do my formula. And remember, they said which term is equal to 13. So they gave me the term. So in the term space, I can fill in 13. I've got the A, which is minus 5. I do not know which term it is, so I do not know the n. I know the D was 3/4. And now when I do my sum, I'm first going to take the 5 over. Now there's, again, lots of different ways of doing this. You pick the one that gets to the answer the quickest and you find easiest. Remember, I want the n all alone. So I'm not just going to start multiplying the 3/4 into that bracket, because then I've got 3/4 n I want n all on its own. So I'm not going to fiddle with that little bracket n minus 1. I'm going to leave that bracket. I'm taking the 5 over, and now it's still n minus 1. And how does one get rid of a fraction? Because now there's a 3/4 behind the bracket. I don't want it there either. So if I multiply a fraction with its inverse, in other words, 4 over 3, I will get rid of it. But if I do it that side, I must do it this side as well. And I prefer, when I work with fractions, to make everything a fraction, otherwise I get confused. So now you just say 3 go into 18 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24, is equal to n minus 1. So n is equal to 25. So there you've answered the first question, which they ask which term will be equal to 13. So now you can say, therefore, the 25th term will be equal to 13. Good. And that's as easy as that. So you just need the A and the D. But now the next question they say, find now T13. So now I'm going to the next question, find T13. So just if you look at that, you can already see they've given you the N. They're asking you the term. In other words, T13, term 13. So I'm going to do my formula, A plus. Now, if you write down your formula, remember the first step is always to write down your formula. So I'm just going to do this because I've already written down my formula. Now I'm going to fill in what I've got. But before I do that, if you've got n minus 1 and you know it's T13, immediately make it 12. Because if you do that, it just helps you not to have stuff in a bracket as well. Because I know it's always 1 less than n. And if n is 13, then 1 less than n is 12. And now I'm going to fill in what I have. I've got my A. A was minus 5. I've got my D. D was 3/4. Remember, when you work with a fraction, better make the 12 also a fraction. You can do all of this in your calculator, but it will take time. It's much easier to just say 4 go into 12 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 5 gives me 4. So term 13 is equal to 4, and there's my answer. Good. And you can always test and see if this is possible. Remember, if I look at my sequence, it's minus 5, minus 4, minus 3. So it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we did the 25th term, remember it was 13. Now we do the 13th term, which is 4. So I can kind of check myself. 4 is much smaller than the 25. So that's why I know I'm hopefully on the right track. Good. I'm taking all of this off because you're going to now redo this on your own. And make sure that you say the steps. Remember, you're not going to get this specific sum ever again. You will get different numbers, but the method stays the same. So when you do the problem, afterwards, you're going to go and check your solution. You can pause it because there's lots written here. There's 2 different methods. There's the OR. So let's just OR. So the first method is on the left-hand side. The next method is on the right-hand side. So first we use the decimal, or we use the fraction. You can see which one you find easiest. And there's the rest of the solution. So really, nothing difficult. You spend proper time and you pause the video and then you look at the solutions. Good. Next problem. Here, they don't give you a sequence. They say, determine the general term of an arithmetic sequence. So the minute I read that, I know immediately general term means the Tn formula. So I can actually go and write it down immediately. I can say Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1d. Now that is my formula. Only when I know what the A and the D is, I can substitute that and then I have my general term. So I again need to find the A and the D. But what information did they give us? The third term is 12 and the 12th term is minus 24. Now I wonder if you can remember. If I just write down term 3, let's just get this back. If I just write down term 3 is equal to 12, you can do absolutely nothing with that. So I don't know if you can remember, previously I said if you know a formula for something, write down the formula. Don't just write down T3 is 12, because that's not a sum, that's not an equation, you can't work with that. And that's what happens in an exam. People write this down because this is what was given, and now they're stuck because you can't do anything with that. So immediately I'm going to rub out this 12 there. I've got a formula, A plus 2D. Now, why do I make it 2? It's 3 minus 1. So to skip that step, it's a small little step, and it's actually better to skip that step because then you don't have brackets anymore. If you know n is 3, then n minus 1 will be the 2 there. Okay, so I need the A and the D. But what did they give me? They said that this third term is 12. So in the space of the T, I can write 12, and there I have A plus 2D. Now I still have a problem. I've got an A and a D. You can't solve two unknowns in one equation. So I know I'm going to number this 1, because remember, if ever there's two unknowns in an equation, you need two equations. Then you can solve those two unknowns. So let's see what else they gave us. They also said the 12th term, so let's write it here, the 12th term is minus 24. I'm not going to write the minus 24 because I haven't written the formula yet. You always write your formula first. Listen carefully. It's A plus n minus 1, which is 11d. I know what the 12th term is. It's minus 24 is A plus 11d. Equation 2. The minute I've got two equations with two variables in, I can do that. I can solve them simultaneously. I can either substitute the one into the other one, or if they're in the nice pattern like this one, you can just subtract them from one another. So let's see. There's 11d, there's 2d. So I'm going to say equation 2 minus equation 1, because I do not want to work with negatives. If you always look at your bigger d, if it's the d that's going to be left over, if you subtract these two equations from one another, then you rather do the bigger d minus the smaller one, then you don't have to work with negative numbers. So if I say this, I'm going to start there. So I'm going to start on the right-hand side. 11d minus 12d is 9d. A minus A is just 0, so I'm not going to even write it down. Minus 24 minus 12 gives me minus 36. Be very careful with your signs. Minus 24, but I must minus 12 from it, so it's minus 36. Now easily I can divide by 9, and I get the answer minus 4. The minute you've got one unknown, you go to the easiest equation, whichever one that is. It seems to be number 1, and you write down 12 is equal to A plus 2D, because you've got the D now, which gives me minus 8. If I bring the minus 8 over, it becomes plus 8, so it is 20. So A is equal to 20. Let's just see what they ask us. Determine the general term. So there is my D, there is my A. Now I can say, therefore, Tn, which is my general term, is A, which is 20, plus n minus 1, D, which is minus 4. And you can actually leave it just like that. You can multiply it out and write it as a smaller equation, but that is not expected of you in an exam. So if you leave it just like that, it is also fine. You do get your answer. And I think that was the only question here. So let's just rub it out so you can go and redo it all on your own. Remember, when you do it on your own, don't try to remember what somebody else did. Remember the method. Method says, write down your formula. See what is missing in your formula, the A and the D, and see if you can find the A and the D with the information that they gave you. And then afterwards, you can go and check carefully, and you'll see there are all the answers. So you can slowly pause there and check carefully and make sure that you get. You see here, there's the answer that I got, that one there. They did multiply it out, and then it gives you this formula. You do not have to do that, because once you've written down your formula there where the green tick is, you get all your marks. But if you've got a lot of questions after this and you want to use a shorter equation, you can go up to this bottom one, because it's just shorter to use if they ask you lots of other questions. Maybe they ask you what is the 100th term, and then they say which term will be equal to 3040. So if you've still got a lot to do, you are welcome to then multiply it out and then get to the answer quicker. Good. Now, this problem seems very complicated, because now suddenly there are x's and y's. And I know what happens. The minute you see x's and y's and letters, you suddenly get confused. Please don't. The method stays exactly the same. Exactly. It's going to look more complicated, because instead of saying right-hand side minus left-hand side is 3 minus 5, you just now have x's minus y's maybe, or something like that. So you still say what you did on the easy problems. Your method never changes, so don't ever let letters or funny writing put you off. If you've got your method in your head, you will be able to do it. So let's just see what the question is. They give you two arithmetic sequences, so immediately I know there must be a common difference. I don't need to test it. They told me it's an arithmetic sequence, so I know there's going to be a common D. Determine the values of X and Y, and then once you've found X and Y, write down the two sequences. So I need to find X and Y. If I look at those two, remember what is always important? The first term and the common difference. Now let's see. If I look at the first, right-hand side minus left-hand side, please do not switch that around, then you're not going to get the right answer, should be equal to 8 minus y, because that is actually equal to d. I'm just going to put that in brackets. So I worked out the d. But if I look at the left-hand side, I've got a nice equation. So I'm going to bring all my y's together. It will give me 2y minus x is equal to 8. So there I've got an equation. Equations are things that we use to solve problems. That's why we're busy with problem solving in this lesson. But now there's two unknowns. So just like the previous one, whenever you've got two unknowns, you can't solve it. You need another equation, which hopefully will also give you those two unknowns, and then you do simultaneous equations. You solve them simultaneously. So let's look at the other one. If I look at the other one, I'm still going to do the D, right-hand side minus left-hand side, there. Let's do the arrow so you know it's in that direction. And again, right-hand side minus left-hand side. And that gives me an equation, and that is my common difference. I know it's supposed to be the same. I'm going to take the x's over to the same side, so it's 8x, and I'm going to make minus 3y is equal to 1. So there I've got equation 1, there I've got equation 2. Now these two don't seem so nice to just subtract from one another, because there's not a single x or a single y that if I subtract it, it will disappear. And remember, when we subtract two equations from one another, one of the unknowns must disappear. So I'll rather take the x over to the right-hand side here, 2y minus 8, because if I now have this equation, I can go to that one and I can say 8x minus 3y is equal to 1, because in the x's space, I can write 2y minus 8. So I'm just using the other method now. So the previous problem, you had to subtract the two equations. In this one, it's not going to be nice to subtract it, because the 1x or the 1y will not fall away. So it won't help you. You will still have two variables. If I now do this and I multiply out, 16y minus 64 minus 3y is equal to 1. I've got a nice equation with only y's in, and I can solve it. So here I did the substitution method. I got the x nicely all alone so that I could substitute it in there. Good. 16 minus 3 is 13y. I take the 64 over, it becomes 65. So y is equal to 13. Now the minute you got one of the variables, you go back to the easiest equation. There x is already all alone. 2y minus 8, and the y is 13. So 26 minus 8 is 16. It's 18. No, minus 8. It's 18. Yes, it's 18. So there I've got my x and I've got my y, and I can do my, let me just see if I'm right now. It's 2 times 13. Oh. Did you see my mistake? I said 5 and I wrote 13. I thought this is not right. I said 5, but I didn't write. So let's just quickly redo that part. Be very careful. I already had the answer in my mind, and I just wrote now the 13 that I talked about. It's 5, because remember, 65 divided by 13 is 5. So it's 2y minus 8, which gives me x, and the y is 5. 10 minus 8 is 2. So x is 2. And y is 5. Now, is that what they asked? Yes, they asked to find the x and the y, but they also said, now write down the two sequences. So if I go back to the first sequence, I'm just going to make a big arrow there. X was 2, y was 5, and then 8, ... If I look at the next one there, it was a 1, and then a 4x, which is 4 times 2, which is 8, and then a 3y, which is 3 times that 5, which is 15, and there's your two sequences, and you can just make dots to show it carries on further. Good. So this is probably the most complicated question that they can ask you, because there are x's and y's involved, but did you see I used exactly the same method than the previous one? So nothing changed. It's exactly the same thing, and you will be able to do it if you realize that one needs a method in your head, and then you can do whatever they ask you. It doesn't matter if it looks complicated with X's and Y's. Now, after you've done it all on your own, you can go and check your answer. There it's all written out. You can pause and look at it carefully. And then there's another problem, which I'm not going to do with you now because it takes too much time, but you've got everything that you want. We've done similar ones. So if you look at this one, you'll see there's two things given that is not figures. It's letters, just like the previous one was X's and Y's. So all you do here, you just write the letters instead of figures, and you use your method just as you were used to, and you will be able to get to the answer. After you've done it all on your own, you will see the answer is there, written out neatly. So you pause each time and you look at it carefully, and then if you've done this one, you will be fine with arithmetic sequences. They really can't ask you more difficult things than that. That is what you need to know about arithmetic sequences. Very, very easy. A place in the exam where you can earn a lot of marks and make sure that you do it correct. And then the exercises at the end, which we usually give you, which you can go and do on your own. The yellow answers are there, and you can go and check different exercises. So it's a lot that you can go and practice and see if you can get to the yellow answers. That's it for arithmetic sequences. See you next time.